Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason, though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. You always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause of sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Hi, Bullhorn Betty. Thank you for my shirt. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Kids Club.
Well, hello, my beautiful people of YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, or X. I'm Bullhorn Betty, and today we're going to be discussing the Idaho 4 and Bryan Kohberger. This is related to the Moscow University murders out of the University of Idaho. This is where Kaylee Gonzalez, Maddie Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle lost their life in the early morning hours of November 13th. Since this case broke, this case has rocked the world. People wanted to know who could possibly be responsible for the brutal slaying of 4 University of Idaho students. Since then, on December 30th, Bryan Kohberger was arrested and charged with the crime. One of the first things that came out was the affidavit of probable cause, and that was released to the public. And many people in the public read it online for the first time and had that immediate shock value, like I did on my channel, the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. And when we learned that Dylan Mortensen waited 8 hours to call law enforcement, it confused a lot of people. It made a lot of people angry or upset and concerned whether that delay cost one of the victims their lives. Now, granted, fast forwarding to now, we know that that was not the case, that no matter what, all 4 of them would have most likely succumbed to their injuries no matter what time the 911 call was made. However, there was a lot of confusion with that 911 call, predominantly when and why, because it came in right before noon on November 13th. However, it was reports for an unconscious person, and many people understand stabbing type of injuries and had to imagine the brutality and the blood that would have accompanied that kind of attack. So it left a lot of people very confused about the 911 call of the unconscious person. So we knew that there were people at the house before law enforcement arrived because Lieutenant Lanier stated so, and also cleared every person that was at that home very quickly in the case because there was so much focus on the students in and around the 4 victims' lives. Since then, many want to know, what did we miss? Did we miss anything? And I think with everything going on the way it did and everything moving at a fast pace, we did miss something. I pray that everybody here on today's show is here to learn something new or maybe remember something that they forgot about. God bless each and every one of you. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories channel.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Is up, my beautiful coffee beans? It's nice to see you this afternoon. We don't usually come in the afternoon, but I forewarned you. I let you know today was going to be the day that we were going to, because Bryan Kohberger's hearing is at 4, and obviously we need to be here, right? This is going to find out. We're going to be finding out, are we going to be allowed into certain details of the case, of the Bryan Kohberger case? So before we get started, since we still got some time to kill, let's just get up with what's going on. Hello, my beautiful coffee beans. I'm Bullhorn Betty. This is Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories, and we're going to be discussing the newest update in the Bryan Kohberger case. Bryan Kohberger was arrested on December 30th, 2022. Bryan Kohberger was brought back to Moscow, Idaho on January 4th, 2023. The Moscow University of Idaho victims were killed in their off-campus housing on the outskirts of the University of Idaho on November 13th, 2022, around 4 to 4:25. It's actually alleged that in less than 9 minutes, all 4 of these students were murdered. Now that we fast forward to after the revelations of the affidavit of probable cause, which was a jaw-dropper. It indicated that Dylan Mortensen was an actual witness and victim of this crime. She actually saw a man about 5'10", 185 pounds, not muscular, but athletically built, and he was covered in a mask and dark clothing, and he was exiting the kitchen sliding glass door. It concerned her, but that was the first time the community knew that there was a witness, and that witness was Dylan Mortensen. Then came this horrible crusade against Dylan Mortensen because people couldn't understand why it took 8 hours for her to call 911. However, we're not going to be discussing that in today's segment. Today's segment is related to the court proceedings going on with Bryan Kohberger. Ann C. Taylor, Bryan's attorney, and Bill Thompson, the prosecutor for the state of Idaho, have been working tirelessly to make sure that the public is out of this case until trial. There's been a litany of documents under seal in this matter. So with them pushing the public out and pushing everybody out, including the family. Today's segment is on Ann C. Taylor's newest request. It is a jaw dropper, I gotta tell you. You're gonna wanna stick around for this. I am Bullhorn Betty, and this is Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. I hope you enjoy this segment and thought-provoking conversation related to Bryan C. Kohberger and Ann C. Taylor, his attorney, and their newest request. God bless each and every one of you, and until next time, please be safe and kind to one another. If you enjoyed this and you would like to help me or this channel, please consider making a donation or consider being a member with a monthly membership. Let's rock it out with our coffee beans out. So that's kind of where we're at. We're wanting to know, are we going to be allowed into this case, at least for this limited purpose? Does he have a leg to stand on with this motion to throw out the grand jury indictment? Again, they came to before the court and said, hey, we don't, you guys gave the jury the wrong instructions. We need it tossed out because of that. The problem is the bar is so low at grand jury that literally it is probable cause. It literally is the lowest standard that you need. It just means that it's possible you could have done something. So it really is a very low bar and a low threshold to get past if they have any meat to any type of criminal bone. Obviously, the preliminary hearing route is more involved. A lot of people like to equate it to a mini trial, even though people in the legal field kind of cringe when you say that. But it's a little more drawn out process where both sides can basically present, whereas the grand jury eliminates that process. So this is where we're at. I really don't think, she can literally come before the courts several times with this. I don't think she's going to sway Judge John C. Judge, in my opinion, from this. Before we get started, it's nice to see you, our beautiful Sonia, reminding everybody, go out there and give Bullhorn Betty a thumbs up. Nice to see you, Sweet Misery, Emma M., Katrina, Bayou Babe, Hindsight's 2020. Ahoy, Mermaid says. It's nice to see you, love. Pat is up in the house. True Crime Knitter reminding us again, do not forget to hit that like button. Dahlin. Oh, that's pretty. Dahlin, it's nice to see you. Reggie, be good. Good morning, sweet as sugar, but we know she's not. I'm just joking. I know. Quit being so mean, Bullhorn. Sweet as sugar is up in the house. It's nice to see you, love. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I got to remember, the only place that it's morning is California. It's 11:30 there. So right now, as we are speaking, Bryan Kohberger is that right? 11:32. Yep, 11:30. Bryan Kohberger should be at his first hearing. I think his first hearing started at 11. The second hearing is starting at 1, which is hour 4. So we've got about an hour and a half to kill before we go live with that hearing. I'm kind of excited. I'm hearing this is going to be on possibly John Judges. I don't know. I've got several already open. We're not going to miss this one. Connie Branch is up in the house. Our beautiful Jules up in the house. It's nice to see you. Looky, our beautiful Guidance. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. Good morning. Good afternoon. I'm still on coffee club time. Sorry, guys. Tammy Sue, good afternoon. Jesus loves me. This I know, for the Bible tells me so. I think we need to give my singing debut. My pipes need a little rest. It is Shannon's birthday today, and we gave her a big, beautiful Bullhorn Betty birthday, right? This morning, if you guys want to see Bullhorn Betty. All gooftified. Superman's grandma, the most lucky grandma ever, right? The most lucky grandma ever. It's nice to see you. Amy, good. 8 hours do they program to call Greek Council? 8 hours. what is that? Hold on. Amy says 8 hours due to they are programmed to call Greek Council. Why University? Oh, probably to the time I think you're referring to, maybe. I think that's it. We got Connie. Oh, Pebbles. It's nice to see you, love. November Rain. Nice to see you. Joy is up in the house. BZ. Hello, love. Hello. Oh, looky. Look who's up here. Well, hello, Dixie. How are you doing, love? I hope you're doing well. The Real Me Too. I get to see the Real Me Too soon. I think that's about it. If I missed you guys, I just wanted to tell you I love you. And it's great to have you all here. I see Sabrina, Rebecca. It's nice to see you all. Who else? Courtney Dawn. Did I say hi to you, Courtney? I think I said hi to you this morning, but I can't remember if I said hi to you on here. Too Tall Rob Live. Well, it's nice to see you. Hello. I am doing very well. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Michelle Lynn, hello. Oh, our beautiful huntress, Unicorn. Hello, love. Hello. I think I officially, I see, I keep saying, I officially think we got everybody. And then somebody else pops up, Laura Dawn. I'm not quite there yet. I see Pete up in the house. It's nice to see you. How many more people we got? It's nice to see everybody. Okay, now that Bullhorn Betty's done with roll call, I know who's here and who's not. Can somebody tell me who's missing? Boys, Mom, it's nice to see you. Gigi for life. There you go. So I was going through, trying to find out what documents that have anything to them that we could possibly review in reference to this, outside of the stuff we had previously already reviewed in the matter when she was bringing it before the courts months ago. About the indictment and about the indictments and the motion to toss out for whatever excuse they found or came up with, which I think was oh Lord, I think this last one, it was specifically for the one before this one was specifically for the instructions, and I believe this one is for something different. Let me see, where is it? Okay, I don't have it up. I must have had it up before and must have shut it down. So let me just go ahead and put this up for you guys so you guys can see what we're doing here. We're going to go ahead and go through this list here and pull out a few things here just to review, because again, there's not a whole lot down here. There just isn't. We've got some orders to seal. I don't know if anything else is attached that we can look at here. Just orders to seal what they were trying to get. Let's see. This one was for Facebook records, accounts associated with, and there's several people. So I'm wondering if that's with the kids, the victims. Yes, it is. Xana, Madison, and Kaylee. So they sent the warrant over to metadatas, but they're doing an order to seal. So they must have got something back related to it, or they're releasing it. But I digress. That has nothing to do really with what we are here for. It's related to the motion to reconsider, but to unseal the documents. But I don't know if Judd C. John is going to allow that. Why is this not popping up for me? Hold on a second. What the heck's going on here? It's not allowing me to open this. Give me just a second. I've got to refresh. There's something going on here that's not allowing me to open. Let me bring this back to me. Are we okay on our end? Okay, let me try it again. Motion to order sealing of documents and motion to unseal. Let's see what this one is. There it is. It finally worked. So this is basically all it says. It says, come now. Oh, let me put this up here so you guys can read it along with me. There we go. So it says, come now, Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney, Ann C. Taylor. It's so funny. I got to tell you this. How many people have noticed this about me, okay? I get tongue-tied. I used to be so good about saying Bryan C. Kohberger and Ann C. Taylor. But it's something about the C for both of their names that occasionally when I'm on live or I'm recording a video, I will say Ann C. Kohberger or Bryan C. Taylor. And I won't notice it at all until I go back to watch it. So if you hear me say that, you know who I'm speaking of. When I say Bryan, I'm speaking of Bryan. When I say Ann, I'm speaking of Ann. Whatever their last name is doesn't really matter. Okay. So comes now Bryan C. Kohberger and by and through his attorney, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, thereby moves the court for an order to unseal the defendant's motion, reconsider order denying motion to dismiss indictment, and the alternative for permission to appeal from interlocutory order and a stay of proceedings filed with the court on 12/21/23, and the state's objection to this motion was filed on 1/5/2024. The motion is made on the grounds that the pleading and hearing thereon do not need to be sealed. Previous motions related to the grand jury proceedings were properly sealed pursuant to ICAR 32, Idaho Criminal Rule 6, and the court order relating to the grand jury proceedings. In the pending proceedings brought by motion and supported by pleadings do not meet the language of the rule. The issue for the court to decide are procedural and legal and do not delve into the areas covered by rule and order. Mr. Kohberger sought sealing of his filing solely based on email communications with the Latah County Prosecutor's Office stating that they wanted the filing sealed. The deadline for Mr. Kohberger's motion was imminent. Thus, in abundance of caution, the defendant filed a motion to seal. Counsel for Mr. Kohberger informed the Latah County Prosecutor's Office a motion to unseal was forthcoming. Mr. Kohberger moves the court to unseal the proceedings and filings on the basis that these filings and procedures are not covered within the ICAR 32, which many of them are not, even though they're using that. Mr. Kohberger acknowledges the right of the public to be fully informed on the issue. Mr. Kohberger has the right to the rule to apply as it is written rather than disadvantage him with items remaining sealed that are not within the scope of ICAR 32. Interesting. Like I said, I feel a little used over here by Ann C. Taylor, and it's because, again, they play these tricks, like saying something is going to be a public threat, right? They only have to allege that it's going to be a public threat. If nobody's going to challenge it, that's as far as it goes. So I don't think that I think there's a lot of things that are sealed that should not be sealed, and that's been one of the things that I have been talking about when it's come to Bryan C. Kohberger's case. We have to look at it, I try to be really fair based on the probable cause affidavit and how Bryan Kohberger has handled himself since the inception of this case. It really does lead me to believe that they do have the right person behind bars. Okay. I feel that this is the right guy. The defense has not done anything to sway the public in any capacity. They haven't tried to proffer a alibi. They haven't tried to explain these things away. They haven't done anything in the eyes of the public to really garner our sympathy to believe that Bryan is innocent. Let's be honest. Everybody has kicked us out. We're blind. We're left to our own devices. And what is our own devices? Our own devices is what's on the docket. And quite frankly, it is favoring the state, not the defendant. It is showing the defendant in a horrible light. And we are coming out here and reading all this to our people. And, at the end of the day, did Bryan do it? Did Bryan not do it? I believe he did. That's my personal belief. But we also know there's a lot of people out there that truly believe Bryan Kohberger is innocent. There's a whole free Bryan Kohberger, cavalry of people, right? We see him on Reddit all the time. So you have all these people that believe that I can guarantee there's more people that believe that Bryan Kohberger is guilty than there are people that believe that he's innocent. And they did this to themselves because they didn't allow the people in. But did they? Because if they allowed people in, would it have had an equally negative consequences? For example, would they have allowed us in so much that our minds were made up and we know Bryan Kohberger is guilty or something to that effect? I really do believe that they should have done this. If they would have just followed the process properly instead of trying to game the law and skirt the law, which is what I call it. I call it skirting the law. When you do something as that cannot handle legal scrutiny, I feel like it's skirting the law. Okay, I just do. I think whenever you're in a criminal process, that skirting of the law should not be there because somebody's life hangs in the balance. It should just be everybody being honest and open. The prosecution doesn't have a dog in the fight. The defense doesn't have the dog in the fight. The only people that have the dog in the fight is really the victim and the perpetrator. Everybody else, one defends the victim, one defends the defendant, and one rules to make sure that process is fair. So I truly believe that they got the right guy, but that's based on all the information we're getting from who? The state. We have seen absolutely nothing from Bryan Kohberger. Nothing. But really, is that this ruling's fault? Or the way we feel about Bryan Kohberger, is it really the ruling of the judge and the ruling of the court and keeping us out's fault? No. Because he had every opportunity to proffer an alibi and chose not to. And the only thing that they were willing to concede on throughout that whole process of fighting with Bryan to turn over an alibi was that alibi, or that the only thing that they were going to concede on was that Bryan Kohberger was in his car driving around at the time of the murders, in the area of the murders, but by himself, but he wasn't there. He didn't do it. That's basically what they said. They conceded he's in his car and that he has a habit of driving around late at night. I don't know if he really has I have to go back to that one interview we did. That lady that lived below him, I can't remember what she said. I do remember out of the whole conversation with her that he had some strange habits really early in the morning. They always described him always being up really early in the morning, like from the 2 to 5 a.m. area, doing weird things, vacuuming, running water, taking a bath. Obviously, it's pretty noticeable to the downstairs tenants for them to hear it. I mean, this is happening early in the mornings. How are they hearing all of this going on above them unless it's noticeable to them and they're awake or have been woken up because of it? I don't know. I never went as far to ask him, did this stuff wake you up, or were you just up studying when you heard these things going on? I really don't know. Missed opportunity, right? Failing to ask the question when you're there, but sometimes you just don't think of it. Things are moving so quick. You try to get your brain to be firing on all cylinders. But I have to be honest with you, when you eat 3 hours, because we flew back 3 hours. So like when I'm ready to go to bed at 8, it's still only 5 there. And I'm exhausted at 5. So you really lose 3 hours. So either way you look at it, I'm sleep deprived. I was freezing. It was so cold. When we got there, it was like 17 degrees. It was ridiculously cold. I can promise you, as hard as I was trying to think of all the smart questions, I'm sure I missed a few of them. I'm sure I did. And so I kept going on throughout this paperwork to see if there was anything else that we can garner a little bit of direction with this hearing. And there's not. Everything's freaking sealed. Even with this hearing, like all you get here is motion to temporary seal Exhibit 1 of the state's response to defendant's 11 supplemental requests. That's one of them. And then we've got another one here that says, you think it sounds like it's going to be, something you can read. And it says amended motion to seal amended motion to temporary seal states memorandum in support of its objection to defendant's motion to unseal pending hearing. And that's all it basically says. By and through the state of Idaho, and that's it. It's only the cover page. You don't get to even read the memorandum. We don't even get to see what their arguments are. It's just weird. It's just I've never had this. I just don't know what's justifying this. I mean, even if we were kicked out of the court, and there could be no cameras, no audio and stuff. I mean, I'm thankful John C. Judge didn't go there. I think he understood that would put an undue pressure on that community. Moscow community is so small. It really is. You spit from one side of the town to the other. It really is a university town. If that university was there, that town wouldn't exist. They would have no way to exist. There's just not enough people. That university really funds all those restaurants around there, all the small businesses around there. It really does. And so, again, it just... if the people would have went there, it would have caused the whole situation like they had when the kids were murdered. It was kind of crazy. Everybody just flooded the area. Kids were leaving, but press was coming in by the masses. A lot of reporters, a lot of independent news people taking photography, all that stuff. Coming into the area, and it stressed the people out because they're a very small, bedroom type community, a university town. And, some parts are really quiet and peaceful, and some parts are popping and parties, because of the university. But it put a lot of strain on there. And I think if he didn't come up with a meaningful resolution, it would have created this vacuum that brought because we'd all have to go. Nobody's not going to go there to film one of the largest news cases that we've had in a really, really long time. I can tell you this is probably the most notable case in the Moscow area. So it's something you don't hear of. Thank God. Thank God we don't have one of these things every week. I mean, this unnerves me. We've been having a lot of things going on in our schools, and it's just very unnerving. People they just don't have the value for human life like we once did. Like human life, no matter you save human life above just about anything. You never, obviously we have a process, to end that, should certain actions arise to the level. Where are we on time? Let me check out some of these, some of my, still don't have anything. I think the only channel that's up right now talking that will have access to the hearing is honestly a WFLA. And they're just kind of having their talk show. But I do think Krem will be there. I'm not sure, but I do believe they will be. And nothing is really starting for anybody else until about 3:00. So in about 9 minutes, we'll start taking and popping around on there and finding the actual link and listening to some other stuff at different perspectives. Would anybody like, do you guys want me to either open up the panel or open up the phone lines? Does anybody have any comments? Because we've still got about an hour to go before this hearing is kicked off. And, oh, hey, Speculation Station. It's nice to see you. Sometimes I have to take a break from true crime because it's too overwhelming. Oh, trust me, I get it. If it wasn't my job, right? If it wasn't my job. And I do try to break away from it and try to do like a little cooking or something like that. And I think we'll have it'll be a little more relaxing once we get the outside finished up, so we can move at least, once every 2 weeks, just going outside and having some fresh sunshine, just having a different view, a different view, something new. And I like fresh air. So I'm getting the hungries. Any suggestion for what to make a sandwich of? Well, I gotta tell you, I'm like one of those meatheads. I'm a meathead, right? When it comes to sandwiches. But see, I have to quit being a meathead because I haven't stopped being a meathead. I just don't eat the bread anymore. But you're a guy, so it doesn't it doesn't matter for you. Like, carbs don't like me because I'm not as active as I once was, right? But if you're going to make a sandwich, this is kind of my thing. I like turkey, ham, and roast beef, and bacon. So if you're going to make a sandwich and it doesn't have turkey, ham, roast beef, and bacon, a mess of lettuce and tomato and salt and pepper and oil and vinegar, I don't want it. No, I'm lying. I'll eat anything if I'm hungry enough. If I'm hungry enough, I promise. So I'm trying to go up here right now and see if I can find another one that she went, because the order denying, because they have already, here it is. They've already done the order denying the original one, which we were a part of, because this is back in December, and we did go over this when it was denied. But just to kind of fill everybody in on that one, this is I'll put this up on the big screen so you guys can see the reading. This is a little bit longer, but we will read it. And this decision addresses defendant, excuse me. And again, we did read this once before. So if it does sound familiar, that's why. And this decision addresses defendant's motion to dismiss indictment for inaccurate instructions to the grand jury. The question of law posed to the court is whether the standard of proof for grand jury to justify an indictment is probable cause or beyond a reasonable doubt. Remember, Nancy Taylor was basically arguing the much higher standard of beyond a reasonable doubt for a grand jury indictment, which is an argument, right? You can argue it. But there's plenty of case law that supports that's not a winnable argument. Based on history, case law and Idaho criminal rules, specifically Rule 6 through 681 or 68 ICR, the standard of proof for grand jury is probable cause. Therefore, the motion is denied. We're going to read that's basically the order of the court. It was denied. Of course, we know that. So, but I do like to hear the procedural background as the judge sees it, because this is kind of the order of him for him. And he's providing a procedural background. And so I want to see what it says from his purview, right? Defendant Bryan C. Kohberger filed on July 25th, 2023, a motion to dismiss indictment on grounds of errors in the grand jury instructions or in the alternative remand for the preliminary hearing. The defense argues that the grand jury's indictment was flawed because the grand jury was instructed wrongfully that the standard of proof to justify an indictment was probable cause instead of the higher standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. Kohberger claims is based on a legislative history and interpretation of the Idaho Constitution and statutes. The question of whether the standard of proof to reach indictment is probable cause or beyond a reasonable doubt is one of the law. Kohberger's motion included briefing. The state filed an objection supported by the brief, and Kohberger provided a reply to the state's objection, also with additional briefing. A hearing on the motion was held on October 26, 2023. Kohberger was represented by Ann Taylor, Jay Logsdon, and Alyssa Massuth. The state was represented by Bill Thompson, Ashley Jenny, Jeff Nye, and Ingrid Beatty. This hearing was open to the public and media cameras. At the conclusion of the argument, the court informed counsel with a brief explanation that the motion would be denied and that this written opinion would follow. To avoid any confusion, it is important to know on the same day there was also a hearing on Kohberger's sealed motion to dismiss the indictment based on other grand jury issues. All counsel named above were also involved in this hearing. Because the argument centered on the grand jury's secret procedures, this hearing was closed to the public. Likewise, the written decision will be separated from this decision and will be sealed. The result, however, will be public. In order for the court to assess the argument in both motions, the court needed to have access to the grand jury procedures and evidence. To accommodate the need, the state submitted a motion to take judicial notice of grand jury records. Without objecting, the court, as requested by the state, takes judicial notice under Rule 201C2, IRE, of the grand jury transcripts, the audio recordings, the exhibits, the jury instructions, and the jury questionnaires. The state has provided the same information to the defense. So I'm not going to go into the analysis of this, but this is where I kind of live and breathe. Now, the analysis really does break down the law and why the judge did get there. If people want to read this, this is super, super informative. It's super, super educational. And it really does help you. And the more you read this stuff, the more you start understanding what it really says and what the legalese is. So I really do, I hope you are all reading these documents, even independently of YouTube and other social media. Let me go up here. I'm just going to read through some of the comments here. Thank you. Thank you. Become a member. There's the iPhone link, y'all. And then we have guilty in my opinion. Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. On the way in to show love that. Oh, thank you. I'm so lost with this case. I was so on it when, hold on here. Let me put this up, Connie. I'm so lost in the case. I was so on it when it first happened. Then all my turmoil and moving started and I lost so much information. Well, a lot has happened, but really not. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. The case hasn't really changed much at all. To be honest with you, all the information we knew back then is really all the information we still know now. Basically, what we know concrete as of now is a mess of people in and around the students that were slain were pretty much ruled out fairly early on. And so we didn't learn of Bryan Kohberger until December 30th. Nobody really heard his name or knew about him or was even looking in his direction. Nobody was even thinking about Wazoo. I mean, even when we were out there and going and running and doing this, that, and the other, trying to find answers, trying to, find anything that we could out there, we had went to this coffee and literally out the window across was Wazoo. And that was the first time I literally got up from my seat and ran across the street and started recording. I never had realized how close Wazoo was to the Moscow campus. And I was there on, I want to say November 30th. I was there November 3rd. They found out about Bryan Kohberger's name for the first time, according to the probable cause affidavit, on the 29th. And we're standing in front of Wazoo either on November 30th or December 1st. I can't remember, but literally nobody knew his name. And I was sitting out there not even knowing that Bryan Kohberger, the first time any law enforcement heard his name was just a day or so before I started filming out in front of Wazoo. It was crazy. I mean, it's like, we didn't realize it at the time, but we really were onto something and we didn't even know it. It was the craziest thing I've ever heard and seen. So we still are really at the same place. They've been arguing over everything. We got the probable cause affidavit. So far, nothing that the defense has put forward has disputed really any of those facts. So we don't know anything. They've been fighting over a lot of discovery. That whole Brady disclosure that we were all freaking out about back in, when was it, May or June or something like that? I could be off on that day too, or those months too, was the Brady disclosure. And we were all thinking it had something to do with one of the officers having a affair or tampering with evidence or something. Everybody was passing around a whole bunch of misinformation about that too. And now that we're forward and everything, we realize it's the IgG stuff. That's for people that don't know what the IgG is. It's investigative genetic genealogy testing that they did. It really wasn't done by the state. It was actually done by the feds. And the way they couched it was the feds did it and sent them a lead. And really the lead is the only thing that they're really entitled to, because they didn't do it. But, they really are entitled. In any other case, in any other respect, the defense is pretty much entitled to anything that's not that doesn't have a privilege of some sort attached to it, or has been protected somehow. They're really entitled to all of it, because it's a criminal case and this man's life is on the line. But even if his life is not on the line, they're entitled to review anything to see if it's exculpatory evidence. They're saying this could not possibly be exculpatory evidence because they're not going to use it at trial. They don't need it. But at the end of the day, whether they're going to use it in trial or not is not the bearings on whether it's discoverable or not. And they were trying to withhold it improperly, in my opinion. But I don't want to say improperly, because to be honest with you, when we were talking about this and talking about the arguments, I didn't even realize, how the judge was going to rule, because the IgG stuff is fairly new. Is it discoverable? Is it not discoverable? When I was going over it, when we were first starting to talk about it, I said, just what I said just now, just about everything is discoverable unless there's a privilege or some type of protection to it. Needs to go over the defense. But in this case, they're withholding the IgG, which made us all speculate, why would they withhold the IgG? But there are a lot of reasons why they withhold the IgG. One, I think it complicates the matter, especially when they're not even going to be using it. And two, it discloses other people not associated with the case. And that's where that whole protective order comes in, because they don't want other people that have nothing to do with this case brought into a case, especially a case like this, for those people to be harassed. There's a lot of family members when you do if you've never done the genealogy testing, like through 23andMe or Ancestry DNA or a Heritage DNA, or a number of these companies that do this heritage type of DNA testing, where they can test your blood and tell you where you are from this world, and I think by the time everything was done with it, I've got, over 10 or 12 different nationalities or ethnicities in me. I'm from, my blood comes from, literally, there's a speck just about everywhere, all over the world. And I think it's kind of interesting, because I truly believe that is the way it is for all of us. I truly believe that we all, when we do our DNA testing to find out who we are, where we came from, I think it's interesting, because I always talk about how we're all Heinz 57s. I really believe we're all Heinz 57. So some of us come out, a little darker, some come out a little lighter, some come out with, a ring around the eye, and a woof woof, right? So I'm going to get in trouble. The analogy. Everybody, I'm going to get in so much trouble, because I analyze humans to puppies. Don't worry, it wasn't the puppy patrol. I didn't go away because of puppy patrol. Actually, I got this mouse here, and apparently I hit a button on it, and I didn't realize that on my mouse it actually allows me to go back one. Wonder. I think if I would have pushed it the other way, it might have went forward and brought me back here. But I don't know. I don't know. Let me check. We're past 3, so let's see what we got going on with the hearings. See who's live, who's not live. Okay, we got WFLA as they. I wonder. I think this was the court, so they're going through some stuff right now. No videos on John C. Judge's new Facebook page. He does have 14.8 thousand subscribers on the page, but still nothing is set up. I heard that it's coming from that's going to be the new policy, but we don't know for sure. This is kind of our first run of the mill hearings with this new hearing policy. So I'm unsure, but you know what, for the time being, we'll just go ahead and, listen to what WFLA has to say. Why not? I mean, they usually have some good. We're just going to be listening to them. We're not going to put them up on the, we're not going to put them up on the screen. Well, maybe we will.
There was not enough evidence to lead to an indictment, that the grand jury members were possibly biased, and also that they were using the wrong burden of proof in order to reach that indictment. This is something the defense has actually been actively working on for several months now. A previous motion was already denied by the judge back in December. She said, no, you're wrong. We feel like there is enough evidence here to move forward with a trial, and we believe that they were not biased. But still, the defense is pushing. They say that we believe we have new evidence that we need to bring forward for you to reconsider your decision. And so that's what's happening right now behind closed doors. JB, after that, at 1 p.m. local time, they're going to have an open hearing that I'll be able to sit on. This is also about the grand jury indictment, but it's more procedural, and that allows someone like me to actually sit in and listen to that. Now, to the final point, something that you hinted at, it is entirely possible that we have an actual trial date scheduled today. At the end of the second hearing, there's going to be a scheduling conference.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Attorneys for both sides, as well as the judge, will look at all the remaining pretrial hearings that they probably want to get in the books. Also, what day and what time they want to actually get this trial going. We don't know for sure, but everything that we're hearing, JB, is that we can expect most likely a trial to begin some point this summer after the University of Idaho and the public schools here in Moscow, Idaho, have wrapped up for the summer.
I think a lot of people who are tuning in right now, Alex, are very curious to see or learn when a trial could be expected to begin. I want to talk about, we're going to answer some questions from folks. We also have Emily Baker, who's going to be joining us a little bit later on the stream, again being joined by News Nation national correspondent Alex Capriello.
So I'm going to go ahead and mute that while we watch
County,
it.
Idaho. I want to talk about that first
so we can have at least a little bit of a conversation while we're waiting for this to come on, but we will have it playing. There we go. And I'll turn my camera back on while we're having that play in the background. So at least you guys have some audio visual stuff to listen to while we're doing this. I just don't want to hijack, because to be honest with you, we just want some kind of content on here. We don't necessarily need the verbiage or anything like that. Again, I can't wait to watch him go down for poor Harmony. You guys must be talking about Adam Montgomery. When's his stuff? Let me look up his stuff right now. Adam Montgomery. Two hours ago. Oh, wow. So we have a notification out here now for Adam Montgomery. If you guys want to hear this, it says, this just was released about 2 hours ago from Court TV. A judge has denied Adam Montgomery's request to sever charges against him when he stands trial for the death of his 5-year-old daughter, Harmony Montgomery. Adam is scheduled to go to trial February 6th. He's charged with second-degree assault for the alleged July 2019 incident involving Harmony. He's also charged with second-degree murder, tampering with witnesses, falsifying physical evidence, and abuse of corpse for allegedly unaliving Harmony back in December of 2019. Let's see. Earlier this month, Adam asked the court to sever the assault and murder docket. The request came after January 11th meeting between prosecutor and Kayla Montgomery, which is Adam's estranged wife, who told authorities that he unalived her. Following the meeting, prosecutors notified Adam's defense of 3 purported charges or additions to Kayla's account of circumstances leading to Harmony's death in form of a Zwickler letter, according to court documents obtained by Court TV. Oh, thank you, Dixie. It's nice to see you over here. Thank you, and God bless you. Adam states he urges the Zwicker letter alert them to a substantial change in evidence. So there was a substantial change in evidence against Adam Montgomery. And the state now portrays the second-degree assault and second-degree murder charge as mere part of a larger, pervasive, and substantial pattern of abuse. So it sounds like Kayla must have cooperated, and probably started explaining everything that her and the kids and Harmony went through. They had 2 other children, but it's my understanding that they were boys. And it's also my understanding that they didn't get this type, or at least to the public, it didn't appear that they were abused to the tune that Harmony was for whatever reason. It seemed like Harmony got the brunt of the abuse from what I'm gathering, but I can't even confirm that, because they're saying right here that this is a parts of a larger, pervasive and sustained pattern of abuse. Ultimately, the defense argued keeping the docket together would result in an unfair prejudice to the defendant. In their order denying the motion, Judge Amy Messer cited commonality in the docket. The defendant in the common perpetrator, and Harmony, the common victim. So it's not like there's, different events. These are with the same person and the same perpetrator and the same victim, and therefore that was her, basically her justification. In a separate order, the judge addressed Adam's request to prevent prosecutors from showing some key pieces of evidence to the jury. Previously, his attorney asked that the encounter Adam had with police on December 31st, 2021, before his arrest, be excluded from evidence. They also asked the judge to prevent the prosecutor from introducing evidence that he purchased lime, a metal cutting blade, and a grinder from Home Depot. Just the sheer facts and details of this case, it's unnerving. It's unnerving. This is a father. It's unnerving. I just don't get it. I don't get it. How? I just I just don't get it. How can you do that to your child? I just don't get it. I really don't. But that's kind of what's going on with Adam Montgomery. It seems like they're trying to separate the case, and the judge is saying, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. And I'm getting all the paperwork ready now. I'm getting the binder and everything ready for Alec Murdaugh. I've got to go. I still have to read through that. I think I'll read through that tonight before I lay down. Tomorrow we're going on the road. We got a road trip tomorrow. I am super, super excited. I should be in Georgia, I don't know, around 10:30-ish, somewhere around there tomorrow. And I'll be kind of hanging out in Georgia for a day, and then I'll be on my way to South Carolina. So it's going to be fun, guys. I can't wait, to be back out in the field again. It's been good. It gets us out of the house, gets us with some fresh air and a different sight to see. I've been changing my background. I swore. Remember when I first came out? I'm never going to be one of those people that sit at home behind a computer. Well, who knew, right? Who knew? But we don't like to, right? That's the difference. We don't like to. We like being out in the field. We like bringing live content. We like getting authentic content, right? I mean, that really is, we love that. I don't like, having to take or use or anything like that from anybody else, especially when we're well-bodied, able people that can get out there and get the content and get the information right from the mouth of babes, right? I've never really been one of those people that go around and ask people a bunch of stuff. If I hear something, I'm one of those people that go directly to the horse's mouth and ask them. Just, I don't like to engage in the gossip or the drama or anything like that. Did you do this? Did you do not do this? It's simple yes or no. Like I just heard something last night that really kind of rocked my boat. And I'm like, is this really true? And they're talking to me about this person, this political person and everything like that. And it's not a politician. Well, he's a politician, but he's not an elected politician. He's one of those behind the scenes people, And so I heard some information. I'm like, are you doing this? Of course he never wrote me back. So I must have been hitting something on the head, If you can write me back and say, what are you talking about? Who said this? Who said that? And I explain it and then I don't hear from you, then I must have something right? Otherwise you would have said, I don't know why anybody would say that. Of course I didn't say that, right? Well, I can honestly say that at least the guy didn't lie to me, right? So there is a check in the right box there. He ignored me, just didn't answer, but at least he didn't lie to me. There's one thing I can't stand is a liar. I can't stand somebody looking me in my face and lying to me, because trust me, I will look in your face and tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. If those pants make your ass look fat, I promise you, I'm going to tell you to change your pants. Okay. I'm not one of those friends that are going to tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes I will. Depends on the mood, right? If you're really having a bad day and you need me to tell you your ass looks sexy, I'm going to tell you your butt looks sexy, baby. You got it. If you need that kind of friend that day, I'll do that too. Murda, wasting the taxpayers' money with a new trial, even more guilty this next time. I agree. I absolutely agree. I pray to God that actually, you know what? I really don't think, now that I saw this judge in action, that's what I like about judges is before, if you don't see how they're ruling, then you're not seeing how they're thinking. And that's what you need to know. You need to know, how does this judge think? How does this judge rule? What is this judge looking for? Is this judge going to keep to the very strict facts and limit that scope as much as possible so they can get to the heart of the matter? In this particular matter, it sounds like she's hitting all those boxes in the right, in the right order. And I've got to tell you, when she's starting to say, look, you're here for a motion for new trial because you're saying that Becky Hill tampered with the deliberating jurors. I don't care about this other stuff. It's basically what the judge said. We're not going on a fishing expedition, and you're not going to use this court to smear the clerk. If she did this, I'm going to ask the jury what happened. I'm going to question the jury, and I'm going to question Miss Hill. Those are the only people I want to speak to. It was not a good day for Alec that day when they met before for that status conference hearing. That was not the response that they wanted. They wanted to bring in Egg Lady. Right now, according to the judge's ruling and how she's going to be handling this deliberation and jury and new trial, is the deliberating jurors. If you guys recall, Egg Lady was booted from the deliberating body. And if Egg Lady was booted from the deliberating body, Egg Lady is not a deliberating juror. And therefore, the judge does not want to hear her. She now may only be used to rebut. She can only be used to rebut. Possibly. That wasn't even ruled on by the judge. That wasn't even ruled on by the judge. So it's possible. Oh, look who it is. Miss Robin loves this lady. That lady up there. Miss Robin loves her. What's her name? Emily Baker. She used to be a prosecutor. Let's just tune in just a little bit and hear what she's got to say.
Out when I was out on paternity leave, making sense of this case and what was next. So first and foremost, good afternoon. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing really well. Court is doing what court does in January. November gets slow. Like from Halloween to the New Year, court gets really slow. And then every case in the world gets crammed in between the New Year and like spring break. And that's how it was when I was doing trials in Los Angeles. And it's what we're seeing now, that courts are so busy right now. And Idaho's been real frustrating because everything feels like it's sealed.
It is sealed.
It's been difficult to glean.
We're going to start to take your questions, folks, with hashtag Hey Emily, hashtag Hey JB in the comments section. I just can't help but smile because I just love Emily's content so much. Anything.
Emily is a big deal on YouTube. Like when she goes live, she has literally thousands and thousands of people. She talks about certain things on there. She was actually one of the legal minds that I disagreed with the whole Becky Hill thing. Believe it or not, I like her content, but just because we like each other and I like getting information doesn't mean we agree 100% of the time. And it doesn't mean that we have the same opinion of the law, the same translation of the law. And when she was talking about, she went like scorched earth on Becky. She was like, she's like, that's not right. You can't do that. I can't remember how she did it. She's like, but she was like, her head was like, she was angry. Oh, I don't think she was angry. She's kind of like me. She's passionate about certain things because, like, I'm passionate about the law. I would never have spent as much time in it if I didn't love it. I mean, I did love it. I burnt out, about 13 years ago. I burnt out. It wasn't that I didn't love the law. It was just I was being worked to the freaking bone. I had all the difficult cases. It was a lot. At one point I had 250 active cases. In the way our team was set up is we had multiple teams at this law firm, and we had an attorney. We had a what do they call them? A junior attorney. We had a junior attorney, a paralegal, and a legal assistant. So there was typically 3 of us, and we had other lawyers in the office, and we also had other people that were in like specific types of cases, doing just like this civil lit or just this criminal or just whatever. But for my team, it went the attorney, it went me, and then it went a legal assistant, and that was our team. Most teams had 40 cases. That was about the load of most teams. Our team had 250 cases, and our team maintained 250 cases for a significant amount of years. And it was just there at the end, I was just so burnt out. I mean, like I was literally, I quit dressing professionally to go to work. I would wake up, I would get to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. I would be in a tank top and shorts, and I stayed in my office and did not leave because I had to be comfortable. And I didn't leave until about 5:30 every night, 12 hours nonstop in my office, steady working from the time I got there to the time I left. When I was getting paid full overtime, I didn't mind it. When they started cutting overtime and they still wanted the same amount of work, what do you want me to do? I can't do it. So that's where it was, But I don't know how the states do. I've never worked in a prosecutor's office. I never worked in a defense office. I mean, not a defense, like a defense for the criminal defense. We had criminal defense in our office, but I didn't work in criminal defense. My stuff was all civil litigation, investigations, all that. Betty, Georgia mom. Hold on, let me read this. Oh my gosh. When did that happen? Did you say? When did that happen? I know that it was kind of weird because you said 7 and 3, and I was just reading an article about that girl that threw her youngins. One was 7, one was 3. And apparently she woke up or whatever, and she just threw them off a bridge, and bystanders got there, and a person went out in the boat and was able, but one of the youngest one didn't survive the fall, and the other one did. But the mother went to prison for life, and she ended up. I just got a report. I think at the beginning of the year, like January 14th, she lost her. She died in jail, and they're not saying how, but it was on the exact day that this event happened. And since I kept looking for any new information, maybe it was last year. Maybe I got my days wrong or my years wrong. Maybe it was last year, because I have a funny feeling. I remember I was trying to look at what the cause of death was, and I can't remember what date I had to look at it. I think it was like October is when I looked back. And they did finally have a response, but it was that they weren't releasing anything to the public, and that the family had been notified. And then they gave the details of everything. And it was the day that the kids, and I started realizing she must have, she must have not been able to take it anymore. She was in prison. I can't imagine having I have to think that, good. I've heard enough, and I don't understand it, and you guys know I don't understand it, but I've heard enough that I know that there is, like postpartum depression. I don't think you're going to get it when you, like, I think they say within 6 months of having your child. So obviously her last child was 3 years old, but there's still like a depression that you can go through. I keep wondering, is this more mental illness, or is this a mom that just didn't want to take care of, wanted to go out, Casey Anthony? And I just don't know. It's getting harder and harder to tell. Let me just go back here and see what Emily said.
And getting more final and settled law on it. But Judge wrote a very good and thorough opinion. I think he enjoyed the legal jesting on that topic, but a very thorough opinion that this is not going to fly. And the state Supreme Court has addressed this similarly, and it's not going to fly. But whether or not they get the ability to pause this trial and appeal it is kind of their next big thing. Will they get that interlocutory appeal that pauses the criminal proceeding and kicks this case to the appeals court, which could push this trial out a year or more?
I want to point out too, I should have done this off the top. Emily, I believe you're live streaming this as well, correct?
I'm going to cover the hearing with live commentary. So for all of those that want commentary while the hearing's going on, I'll be doing that. For all of you who just want to see the hearing, I'm sure you guys will be airing it here on WFLA.
No, yeah, and I appreciate it. But Emily, folks, does a phenomenal job providing commentary in a non-invasive way, in my opinion. So if you're just looking for the feed and you just want to watch the feed, but if you're also looking for that legal content.
Yeah, I have to be honest with you. She is good. It was Miss Robin, one of our mods here on this channel, that actually recommended her to me. I've watched her a few times. Some of the stuff I don't see eye to eye with her on, and some of the stuff, but it's all interpretation. It's not really like I don't like her, or I don't like how she says things or anything like that. It's more of interpretation of the law that we get hiccup on. And it's like this whole Becky Hill thing with her in the main person on the jury. What is it? Sorry, my brain, I'm starting to get tired. I've been working since like 2 a.m. Once we're done here, I still got to finish up, do my final touches and get things submitted. But either way, I do legal stuff. I read it. I try to find case law. I try to read, just try to identify what do the professors say about a particular topic as well, because, even if it's not anything, I like to go to the colleges and see what they're saying or reading on a particular topic. We've done it many times on cases that we're covering here, where we go and look at the not only the statute, but we look at some of the case law associated with it. And we kind of formulate our opinion based on the statute and the case law. And when it came to the whole jury and Becky Hill's position in that whole orchestration, it just didn't make sense that they think that she's not supposed to speak to the jurers at all. Like, she's the person that is coordinating, getting them to the jury room, getting, making sure if anybody's sick, she's letting the judge know. So there's a lot of things. So I kind of disagreed with Emily when she was explaining that the clerk is not supposed to be, when you have the foreperson, that's who I was thinking of. When the jury foreperson is basically the point of contact for the jury. Okay. And so if there's a problem within the jury goes to the foreperson. The foreperson typically goes to the bailiff. The bailiff decides who it needs to go to, may need to go down and talk and walk and speak to Becky Hill and say, hey, we have a problem. Who should I get? Oh, you need to send them over here, or no, I'll take care of it. I'll go talk to them, talks to them. Maybe there was something going on. We know there was some issues going on that jury. I mean, not related to Alec Murdaugh, but some internal stuff that we were hearing and sniffing about that were going on in the jury. And it might have been a situation like that. And it might have been around the time that they were discussing, the egg lady, and whether if anybody had noticed her talking to anybody or sharing any information or anything like that. So, and not only that, but the Judge Newman, actually spoke to egg lady. I'm glad to hear that Judge Toll is not going to force Judge Newman to be a witness in this matter. There was a lot of concern about that as well. Was Judge Newman going to be a witness? I don't know. I was hoping he was not going to be. The bailiff only reports to the judge on behalf of the jury. I don't think so. I've never heard the bailiff going directly to the judge for a juror issue. If it's a scheduling issue, if it's I can't be here issue, I've never really heard that going into the judge, because it's the clerk that schedules, it's the clerk that informs the judge. That's I'm almost confident that's how it works now. If that's not how it works, I guess I need to be schooled, because it's my understanding that they're not calling the judge directly. Like we had one person that was sick that had to call in sick. I don't think they called into the judge. I think they called into, I'm pretty sure they would have called into the clerk. The clerk is like basically the office manager of that hearing. But I mean, like I said, I could be wrong, and they may have different rules in South Carolina. There is possibility of different rules. I mean, every state is entitled to set their own rules. Every local, I mean, if you look at the rules of civil procedure, you have local, state, and federal. You don't just have state and federal. You have local rules of civil procedure too. Or local rules of procedure. I think it's administrative procedure. I can't remember. It's been a long time. I believe the bailiff oversees the jury whenever there is a session of jurors. Who oversees the jury? Let's find out. Let's see what Google says. Who supervises the jury? During trial, a judge supervises the jury. It is the judge who decides what evidence the jury may hear. Oh, no, that's for evidence of that. Maybe that's not what I'm looking for. Who oversees the jury? In Florida, it says the judge. Says the judge oversees. Hold on, let me see what the purpose of the clerk, because we want to be accurate. What state is that in? Idaho. Why am I? Oh, no, this is South Carolina. Why am I thinking Idaho? Hold on. That's why I asked. Okay, well, here we got jury management. Here, let's see what all of it says. I got the jury management aspect of this for the South Carolina Judicial Branch. This is it says clerk of court, which that's what Becky Hill is. It says clerk of court manual, chapter 4, jury management. And it's 4.0 introduction. It says the statute governing the jury system of the Circuit Court of South Carolina are found in Chapter 7, Title 14 of the South Carolina Code of Laws, 1976. The jury system in South Carolina involves both grand juries and petite juries. From the clerk of court's perspective, not all procedures. I can't even speak today. Let me put this up here on this, and we'll read it together. I always find it easier when I read it up on the big screen. There we go. There we go. So we're starting right here. This is where you can't even see it. This is where we're going to start right here. The jury system in South Carolina involves grand juries and petite juries. From the clerk of court's perspective, many but not all procedures for the selection of grand juries and petite juries are similar. The clerk of court is responsible for summoning the prospective jurors, veneer, preparation and management, and compensation of the jury, the jurors, the clerk of court, and probate court. The source list of juror selections are provided by the South Carolina Election Commission. The South Carolina Election Commission compiles the source list from information provided by the South Carolina Department of Public Safety and Election Commission's database and makes this list available to County Juror Commission in October of each year. 4.01 automated jury selection, grand jury, petite jury. Let me just see and we're going to say petite juries where they are. And it says a petite jury are used for both civil and criminal trials in the circuit court to decide the issue presented during the trial. The decision is a jury verdict. A petite jury usually consists of 12 members whose verdict must be a unanimous decision. However, by an agreement of parties, the jury of less than 12 may hear a case and in civil matters may reach a verdict by majority vote. So I think the thing is up here. I think it really does define this, and it basically says that the clerk is responsible for summoning the jurors, the prospective jurors. Now, that's prospective jurors. I don't think that quite answers our question, to be honest with you, whether or not this is right during the trial. I guess we're still gonna have questions about that. So we're about 20 minutes out before. There we go. We're about 20 minutes out before the hearing starts. So this would be a great time if you guys need to use a bathroom, get yourself something to drink, get yourself something to eat. This is a good point to do that. If you have to go down, if you're running out of cigarettes and you need to go, now's the time to get your butt moving, I am going to put on some music. I will be right back with you. Okay. And we'll let this, I'll let this play with my
hashtags for us both. Why do we think that they want things unsealed? And also, are you covering the Delphi case?
I'll be right back.
Quickly on that, we cover things that people ask us to cover. We very much listen to our audience about interactive live streaming. So if you send an email to heyjb@wfla.com and request coverage, and we get enough emails, of course, we'll cover anything that you want us to cover and put here on the live stream.
Snow, it's nice to see you, love.
Emily, to the point, why do you think that they want things unsealed? Do you think that there's something big looming in this case, the elephant in the room that we just don't know about yet?
I wonder if the defense wants to feel like the playing field is more leveled and their side of the story is out there a bit more.
You guys can hear that, right?
The prosecution's theory of the case has been out there for quite a while, but if we're getting glimpses of the defense's theory of the case through these motions, that's not getting out there to the public. Again, it's very odd to me that the prosecution is like, nope, keep it sealed. But it was weird to me that everybody involved in this case was like, hey, let's not have cameras in the courtroom. The prosecution didn't want them. The defense didn't want them. The judge didn't really want them. And the media coalition made motions fighting to keep access to this courtroom. And I know lots of people give the media a hard time, but the media coalition hired an attorney to fight for access and
They did.
transparency in this case and has done that in other cases. And I think that that's a good thing, that most individuals wouldn't have the ability to go into court and argue really for all of us to have access.
And that
Dixie
is what
Daisy
they
wants
did.
to know, hashtags for us both, what do you think the likelihood is that they changed the trial location from being in Moscow?
Very likely.
I don't think they will do that immediately. When they start jury selection, and if
Very
they
likely.
cannot find jurors, they will generally expand the jury pool and bring in people from a further radius. However, those people will still need to be in Idaho. They can't bounce over the border to Washington and bring Washington residents into an Idaho state case. That's not going to happen, but they can expand the pool. The last result is moving venue to a larger metropolitan area, which generally judges are hesitant to do, but will do as a last resort. But they will wait until they start selecting a jury before they make that decision.
Sarah says, please cover the Harmony Montgomery case. That's one that we hope to be doing more live streams about.
Everybody covers that poor little girl.
Let's go to this next one from Melissa.
It's awful. Harmony Montgomery. If you guys don't know about the Harmony Montgomery case, this is a really sad case. So she was with her mother. She was taken out of the custody of her mother because her mother had substance abuse issues. And from my understanding, she was put into like a foster care system, and she was at a home. And at some point or another, they ended up giving Adam Montgomery, his motion was denied. We just read it on here. We just read an article about a half hour ago about it. It's a good thing because I'm glad they didn't sever it. And the judge actually cited the reason why they weren't severing the cases is because it had the same perpetrator and victim in all of it. So it didn't make sense to do that. So I guess if there were different victims, a different set of victims, then yeah, they could have a better argument on it. But to try to sever charges for the same victim is a little different. So I don't know. 10 by 10 on this end. 10 by 10 on this end. I like it. Too Tall Rob, and you say live. So are you a content creator? I don't think I've ever heard of you. It's nice to meet you if you are. If you're not, it's nice to meet you as well. But I just had never. You seem pretty up to date on this information. Do you live in the area? Have you been out to this area? Yeah, I do too. I love Emily Baker. She's really good. And I like her spunk, and I like that she has no problem. Like, I don't know. I feel like if I do something really crazy and wild with my hair, people will look down on me. And I love it that she's like this, well-known prosecutor, and she doesn't mind wearing purple hair. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's the difference from coming from California versus coming from Florida. I don't know. Like, I like to, like, even when you guys talked me into that pink hair, I felt so weird. It ended up wearing on me. I will be honest with you. If I can do that pink champagne type of hair, I will. So John C. Judge still doesn't quite have the system up yet. So we're waiting for them to come live. They should be coming live. We're about 15 minutes out, but they're not quite there yet. So we're going to just give it a few more minutes. Hopefully they get this coming. They may have ran over. I don't know if this is the first time they're running live on YouTube because I don't see any live streaming, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure somebody in their court knows how to do it, because it's not the judge that's live streaming. It's usually somebody that works for the clerk's office that does this, that sets everything up. But I always want, because that first live stream never quite works out well. I don't know. I can't even remember my first live stream. I remember I loved your pink hair so much. Yeah, we're gonna have to. I'll have to do that again. Well, I have like my roots are so far. Like I've got like 3 inches of root growth. I need to get to the hair. I had to cancel my hair appointment a few months ago. I don't know. I had. Probably never mind. You know what? They're just going to tear it up. I'll just have to keep that. I can't talk to you guys. I can't share life with you guys because we've got people on here that just can't quit bullying me and want to tear me apart and just sucks. So I would tell you guys a story, but there's a reason why my hair had to grow out. There was a reason why my hair had to grow out. And no, it's not because it's falling out. It's not because I have what do they call it? Alopecia? You know what? I feel so bad. I didn't realize what that was, but I did see my first commercial for something or other, and I can't imagine. I remember there was this one time my heart broke. This lady was so beautiful too. She was absolutely gorgeous. Her face was just, and you could tell she was really, really thin. So I actually think she had cancer. That's usually your first inkling, what you first think when you see somebody that's missing hair or has like, hair growing. But I felt bad for her, but didn't, because she could have wore a wig. She could have done a lot of different things, and she chose not to. She chose her natural beauty, and I just thought it really was beautiful. But it broke my heart because I was there, and she was the lady that checks you in. And she was older and she was really thin, but her hair, like she just had a little bit of hair back here, and everything on her head was like, it was bald. And of course, you never ask, but it's just one of those things when you see that, you almost assume that it's cancer related, But, for a lot of us women, we wouldn't even go to work. And this woman went to work. She was greeting people. She was smiling. She was just a sweet, sweet, just a gorgeous person. She really was. And, people need to realize sometimes making fun, it's not worth it. Not worth it.
I imagine judges choosing to do things a bit more methodically, knowing that it is going to be streamed and discussed. How could you not? And so I don't know if it's this judge's normal practice to not rule from the bench. He waits and does written motions, but they're very thorough written orders. And I get the sense that that is his normal practice, that he is thoughtful, he takes things under submission, and then puts out a written order sometime later. And I don't think that's changed because of the streaming. But of course, they're cognizant of it because courts have to deal with all of the intense floods of emails that the courts get about the case. They have to deal with other attorneys like myself talking about the case. They have people in their lives that are watching this coverage being like, I saw you on TV today. It's a very different thing. Most of the judges and lawyers that I know would never wish that their normal court workday be on a stream like this. It is not comfortable for anyone involved, and most attorneys don't become attorneys to be on TV. A few do, but most don't.
But at the same time, can't help but wonder if when our legal system is under the microscope with a case like this, as much as it is, if it almost serves as a litmus test for the mainstream public to say and ask themselves, does our justice system work? Like, is this what we're doing here in the United States? Is this working? Are we actually doing this thing called justice correctly? And so I always wonder about the mindset of judges when it comes to whether it's Murdoch or whether it's Petito or whether it's this particular case. Familia Christie wants to know, do you think that this is a case that will go cold?
Okay, I'm going to say that the case is not cold. The case is actually where it needs to be, far from cold. It's hot, hot, hot. So hot that everybody wants to know what's going on with it. I think we can assess this, and I think that Emily hit the nail on the head. No judge wants to be under this type of scrutiny, and he's feeling it, and he wants all eyeballs are on him, and that might be the apprehension of the judge is, I feel like he doesn't want this stuff public because it's so complex. I don't think if they did make, I don't think he wants any kind of mistakes broadcasted or any type of, because a lot of people don't understand the legal system. And like, for example, when it came to, and I know some people are going to agree with this or not agree with this, it is what it is, but the Delphi case, the whole cult angle that, people kind of dove into because the defense said so. Just because the defense is defending their client doesn't make what they're saying true or accurate. It's possible they could believe it. They don't have anything that contradicts it. So, if this is what they've got, if this is what their client's telling them, and they've got nothing to contradict the information, then it's possible. And I don't want to get into it again. This is a man that's done terrible, terrible things, allegedly. And he allegedly told his wife and allegedly told his mother the same thing. And he had to explain those away. And the only way you can really explain something like that away is by saying somebody forced you to say it. Because you never want to acknowledge that you willfully said it. Does it mean somebody forced you to say it? No. It just means that's what you're saying. There's nothing to contradict it. So I don't know. That's kind of where I go with the defense stuff, and it's like, even with this, with Ann's newest, us wanting to be in, yeah, I welcome it. But my point is I feel like we should have been in a little further in on this a long time ago, because again, I've never seen a judge seal so much stuff in a case before. It doesn't sound like I'm the only person that has been screaming that from the rooftops. It sounds like a lot of legal professionals that have dealt with this very thing, being like Emily, being a prosecutor, she's had to deal with this thing. She's even saying that she's never seen anything like this before. And prosecutors see just about everything. You know what I'm saying? And she's a prosecutor from California. Like, you would think that she probably has seen more in her time as a prosecutor than many attorneys see in their entire lifetime. If where was she from? Was it Los Angeles? Is she an LA prosecutor? Or was, rather? If that's the case, then yeah, we're in Idaho. We're in Idaho, folks, okay? Definitely not LA. You want to know what the polar opposite of LA is? Moscow, Idaho. That is literally the opposite. Yeah, LA. That's what I thought. Yeah, ridiculous. So I think she's been around the block a time or two. And when she's saying that she's never seen anything like that, I can almost guarantee. And not only that, we've all heard it. There's a lot of legal people out there saying the same darn thing. They have never seen a hearing or a case so sealed. It's like everything's sealed. You can't see nothing in this case. I just don't get it. And now all of a sudden, Anne's saying, well, I only asked for this protective order because, the state asked me to do it. Now I realize it's bad. We really need to let it open. It doesn't fall under this. Well, can everybody just please go look and see what it does fall under? So it looks like they're checking out the John's page now, and it's still not up. Nothing's up. I don't know, guys. We might not see this. I mean, we're 5 minutes out, and there is literally nothing online. Literally nothing. So I don't know what's going on. It looks like WFLA is having a hard time as well. There's nothing there. Yeah, she was. Yeah, okay. So she was an LA deputy district. So I can guarantee she's probably seen a heck of a lot more just awful stuff than somebody from Idaho, right? I thought it was supposed to be closed to the public. The 11 a.m. one was closed to the public. They were having a 1 p.m. A hearing. He was having 2 hearings today. It was on. I did remember reading it. That's Savannah Soto. Here it is. Yeah, this is the article. It was from, I don't know what, but it said something about him having 2 hearings today. Yes, here it is. It says at 11 a.m. PT, a closed door hearing will address Kohberger's motion to dismiss the indictment. Give me just a second. We got a lot of, hold on. Let me refresh this. It's got things popping up all over it. I can't even read it. It says 11 a.m. PT all is a closed door hearing and will address Mr. Kohberger's motion to dismiss the indictment based on claims of biased grand jury proceedings, inadmissible evidence, lack of sufficient evidence, and prosecutorial misconduct. That's what's being heard today. That's what has already been heard. It was heard at 11. It might be still going on. That might be what's pushing us back a little bit. But simultaneously, there will be arguments on Bryan Kohberger's bid to unseal the court documents related to the reconsideration of orders denying motion to dismiss the indictments. At 1 p.m., an open door hearing will address the order denying the motion to dismiss the indictment due to inaccurate instructions given to the grand jury. So it seems like they got a couple of these things going on. So let me see what's going on. I'm going to give this till 4. If there's nothing that is up on this John C. Judge YouTube, then actually, you know what? I think I am just going to go ahead and kill it now. I was hoping that it'd be up. I don't know if it's going to be up. I think I'm going to tell you guys to go over to WFLA at this point, not because I don't want to cover it. I do want to cover it, but it's already 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've got some filings that need to be done. And if we don't even have the hearing up at this point, there's not even a whole lot I can do, because that means it's going to be running late. And if it's running late, that's going to be pushing me after a deadline. So either way, I've got to finish up my paperwork, get this stuff finished. And we'll just have to be back here tomorrow, or we'll be back here later today. Once I get this filed, maybe around 6 or 7. Actually, I can't do that either. So we're done for the day. I'm done. I'm done for the day. I've got to get ready. I'm leaving early, like around, what did I say, about 3 or 4 in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning tomorrow morning, and getting on the road and heading and going north. So I'll be in Georgia by mid-morning, and I will talk to you guys then. Guys, get over to WFLA for my mods or whatever. Text me what happened at this hearing. I have a funny feeling he's going to pretty much deny everything. This is just, in my opinion, this is just a way to delay. It sounds like they're already going to start using some appellate processes to further delay these court proceedings. It's just, it's really bad, because, the only thing I think of while Ann C. Taylor is playing these games is the victims and the victims' families. How cruel it is that the families have to go through all of this for justice. It just seems so totally unfair. It seems totally unfair. We have little things that go on in our lives that we make mountains out of molehills sometimes, right? We make mountains out of molehills, but we hear this and it's like, man, they're just not getting justice. It's just not coming quick enough. When will we see the day? When will the day come? We heard that they are going to be setting the trial date. Sometime today, we should have a good idea of a trial date as well. So based on what I'm reading, I have a funny feeling that trial date's not going to be the right trial date either. So don't hold your breath on that trial date. I know they're going to probably start talking about putting it on the books and it's going to be this day, and this day. But it sounds like there is an appeal that's about to happen. It sounds like Nancy Taylor is already hinting about the appeal. And once that appeal happens, the criminal case stops. So that means it stops there. That trial date, it most likely will not go on that trial date. The case stops until it is resolved at the appellate level, and the appellate level could take some time. We don't know what their schedule's like. I've never even looked into Idaho appellate courts to find out how long it takes to get before them. Is it something that's only, they can get it before them within a month, or is this a 3-month process we're looking at, or a 6-month process are we looking at? What kind of process is this? The only process that I can think of is South Carolina. We just went through this with Alec Murdaugh, but when did he actually file in the appellate court? Was it just since September? And if so, and we're being heard now, so that's 4 months potentially there. So this is something that could really delay a big chunk, 4 months, 6 months, a year. A little concerning. So we'll see how this goes. Guys, keep me posted. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day, but I do have pressing issues. And right now, I'm down to the wire. So I've got to get this finalized. I'm on my final proofread. I'm making some modifications, and we'll chat soon. All right, guys. I love it. Love you. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Take care.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.